Good afternoon, everyone. TGT Media's an entertainment industry interview podcast where we interview the creative minds from the comic, film, music, and video game industries. Fuck it, it's just the entertainment industry. And I'm your host, Kurt. I had to close the blinds because I was being whited out. We are joined today by a past guest on the show. He has been a wonderful proponent of the show, as well as great content that you have all known, loved, read, purchased, etc. From various conventions around the circuit for a very long time. We're joined by Howie Noel. How you doing today, Howie?
Doing good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Anytime. You know that I always like to get you on the show under better circumstances. And in this regard, this was brought to my attention by mutual friends whom we both know very well. And I was kind of surprised. And the fact that, well, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Why don't we discuss specifically why you're on the show here and what the hell's been going on with you?
Well, I guess we could start at the beginning. My first graphic novel was Mr. Scoodles, which came out and it was featured in Wizard magazine. So this is my second project I've been working on, like large story, and it's called Paranormal. And she's a female paranormal investigator. She's smart, strong, tough. I started it, I would say, early 2006. I was doing sketches of a girl, that would blossom into what she became. In 2008, I submitted it professionally to Image, I believe, possibly Shadowline. I think I might have done Shadowline because they veer into those kind of stories more. And it's a house within the larger publisher, and I've always liked their books and respected their work. So that very early Tara, the look was down with the shirt, how she appears, but she had a little more powers. Like she could float at that point. She was going to be very paranormal. But then I launched it in 2009, more straightforward. She's just more of an average person who's really tough and really smart and can fight monsters, zombies, and she can see and talk to ghosts. A shadow person is her best friend, that kind of thing. So, and right away, it got a lot of good attention. I mean, more than Mr. Scoodles could, because if you think of the name Mr. Scoodles, people love that book, but it's very independent. It doesn't really have a genre. It's about a comic. It's about a animated cartoon character getting out of hell. So this Paranormal's more mainstream as far as, it's a genre. It's science fiction. I get that. It's got horror, and it's a strong, beautiful girl fighting monsters. I like that. People can grasp onto that easier. And so I started getting more attention, and right when it launched, I was contacted by a film agent from Hollywood, which was really, really cool for me. I didn't ever expect that. And they started on adapting it as a TV show. They wanted to pitch it as a series. And this is all, and this is all happening right away when I'm just starting the strip. And I was like, wow, maybe this is finally things are happening as far as comics, because it's a very long, weird road I'm taking in my journey, and I'm doing my own road. So that happened, and as I've learned with Hollywood, and I've had friends tell me who have shows and stuff that Hollywood is all waiting. It's waiting, and it's stop, and you'll get a lot of, I really love your work, stuff like that. So as it went on, I kept with the webcomic, and it kept growing. I'm going to conventions. I'm going to shows where they do, I'm going to ghost hunts and showing the book there and gaining a new audience, and just growing the brand and character. We have shirts, stuff like that. Making books. In 2010, I approached a literary agent who handled graphic novels, which I thought was awesome. I didn't know you could get a literary agent for graphic novels. It's usually, what they consider, real books in their mind. I mean, honestly, the publishing, I've learned there's a big look down on graphic novels and comic books, which sucks, because I think they're the greatest form of art. So got a literary agent, and she wanted to have the chance to work with me on this project. And she was like, well, what do you envision? And I envisioned a series of books of graphic novels where Tara would fight different monsters or different types of paranormal. The first one would deal with ghosts and aliens. And the second one would deal with just ghosts. And the third one, I think it was like Yetis or something, that kind of cryptozoological thing. Ghosts have always been a part. And also in 2010, Paranormal started appearing in Tap's Para magazine, which is the official magazine of ghost hunters that appears on Sci-Fi. So she's always ghost hunting with the actual crew. I couldn't have topped that because that was the show. Really influenced me, and I became friends with the whole group on the show, and doing the comic for them with my character. She's ghost hunting with the ghost hunter, so I mean that's the top for me. And people are going to associate and notice her in the comics, stuff like that. So, 2010 was looking great as far as that. It's a big year. And so I work on this proposal. It's the first time I've ever really had to type out a script. I don't have to do that because I'm the artist, too. So I don't ever have to write out a script like I would, for another artist, like, Alan Moore or other great writers have to do. I don't have to tell everything. I know where it is in my head. I see it playing like a movie. So I had to type out this script, and it was actually, as it turns out, of course, it would be the best work because you're planning everything out and stuff like that. And I was really proud of it. I was really proud of the piece. Still am. So we sent it out. So much work goes into a proposal like that. I would have no idea that writing the proposal is more work than the actual book. So you have to get a bio. You have to get references from friends or people that are published. And I got a lot of great references. I got New York Times bestsellers to give me references. I don't know how many people can grab that. It's very special, and I'm appreciative of it. So we sent it off, and the literary agent said that there would be a bidding war. That's what I was told. Now, you have to keep your feet on the ground when you're told stuff like that because you hear a lot. You just hear a lot from people. And I was like, okay, a bidding war is something that might happen to Twilight or something. That's pretty crazy territory for a graphic novel. So she said that I had high hopes, not crazy expectations like that, but I had high hopes. And it gets submitted to a certain publisher, the one I'm having the problem with. It gets submitted to them, and it's passed on. It takes a while, but it's passed. I would say at the end of 2010, it was submitted. Early 2011, it's passed. It gets passed on. And I'm like, okay. My contract is running out with the literary agents. I said, let's go our separate ways. If the book can't be sold, it can't be sold. And I have no reason to have an association as far as film rights thing because I've got my own things going. With that, you have to, sometimes they want to hold on to film rights, even though they're not representing the book anymore. So, and the relationship there, it gets resubmitted directly by my friend who referred me to this publisher, directly to them again. So we tried resubmitting it, with a direct referral this time because he was a well-established author with them. And I never heard back. And in 2011, right at the beginning while I was on vacation in Italy, I checked my email for once, because it's hard to get internet when you're in another country and you're just getting away from stuff. I checked it and I got an email from a very big Hollywood studio and about they're interested in it again. Turns out it's this thing from 2009 that's big. So that's crazy, right? And I was like, wow, this might be it again. I contacted the other guy that I was talking to. I was like, can you help me with this? Because that person's, they say they're a big fan. That's the wording. And I hope you're a big fan. That's awesome. But nothing went through with that again. So nothing went with that again. It was still awesome to have a close thing. Yeah. Because I make a comic, not a movie or something like that. But the option rights are very important for an artist. If they even option it, they would pay you for an option. Doesn't mean they make it, but it's more money to supplement your income and family. It builds the brand bigger. More people would then check out the comic. So it didn't happen, but still hopeful because, what was that, a year and a half later, and then a year and a half, maybe it's on a cycle, keeps going around. So it's obviously important to somebody. But so after that happened, I didn't hear back from the publisher again. Then I got something where I keep doing the comic. I actually started thinking, I want to take that script I made, which was Tara's origin in her first case. I wanted to take that and make it into a young adult book or just a book just starring a young adult because she's 16 there. And so I always wanted to write a novel. I always wanted to write a novel with no pictures. And so I started typing it. I worked on it for a long time. I would say that brought me into 2012. And as I finished typing the last bit, literally the last bit of that book, and I was, I'm going to have a drink and a cigar, and I've done the, like the misery thing that he celebrates finishing his book. And I get a picture text from my friend who's a manager at Barnes & Noble, and he sends me a picture of a book series that he just received, one letter off from Paranormal. One letter, only the T changed to another letter. And it's a girl, and she solves paranormal mysteries. And so this has started the last year of dealing with what I'm dealing with. I submitted to a major publisher, and now all of a sudden they have a series one letter off from mine with similar content, a similar pitch. If I'm just pitching you, if I'm at a convention, and everybody knows, if you know comics, this is how you have to give that one sentence pitch. Let me tell you something that's going to be very close. It's like having a clown that sells burgers to you. It's Donald McDonald. It's literally what has happened to me. But I don't know if McDonald's would be close to tears over that happening, even in the beginning. It's not a character that they've made. It's not a story that they've grown up with for 5 years. So, long story short, man, then I reach out to the agent, and I'm like, what can I do here? We're not, and she's, she was just, don't bring me into it if you can. Don't bring me into it. And I don't know what to say to that. This is literally what I was told. Don't bring me into it because of my career. You represented me. I pitched this because of you. And I'm left there with that. That's the first thing to deal with. And I'm not a dummy. I didn't think we're best friends or something like that. I understand it's business, but the response of, it's going to be very hard to prove that. Oh, you shouldn't fight. I wouldn't know if I would fight that, blah, blah, blah. That's the kind of thing I got back. But the leave my name out of it. Try not to mention me too much. It's not when I put my creative trust in somebody. I mean, that is just part one. That's part one after seeing this strikingly similar book. I don't know about anybody else, but originality is important to me. And you have to, when you write stories, they say nothing's original. There's only so many, this is an excuse actually that I've heard. There's only so many original ideas under the sun. And it was not true. There are new stories everywhere. It's true when you play in a genre, you're dealing with certain things and stuff like that. But I'll be honest, when I created this years and years ago, there weren't many plays on the paranormal like this. There wasn't Paranorman, which came up. And by the way, when I do a convention in New York Comic Con and we overhear somebody walking by, Paranormal, boy, he really ripped that name off. That's reason number one that I'm fighting. It's reason number one. Because I didn't rip off Paranorman. That's nothing like my story. And I didn't pursue them. I'm not trying to claim ownership to that. I don't care. But other people are going to view it like that. So how could you have one letter off from my series? And when I read the book, the book that they had. I'll just put it this way. In my script, Paranormal lost her mother recently. She died. So she's dealing with that. She can see and speak to ghosts. She has that power. So she wants to know, well, she's never seen her mother's ghost. And she wants to know, will I talk to her again, And that's a big driving force in the book. And for this new iteration of the character, I get to go back and have this origin. She lost her mother, which she had always lost her mother in the other series. She was always raised by her father. And he's like, I hope you do. I hope you do, kiddo. I hope you get to see her again. So that's a driving force. She sees a boy. She falls in love with him. He's like a James Dean character. He's mysterious and fun. She goes with her friend to an amusement park, local like carnival, and they go into a haunted house, and the boy's there, and they're hanging out, and it turns out that haunted house is really haunted. So Tara has to save the day and fight like monsters that are in there, and they get out, and then another plot, the main plot happens where he gets abducted by aliens after their first kiss, and she has to go save him in the world. So the initial part with the ghost hunting is that subplot to show what she can do and how different she is, and he's like, wow, she's really special. She's fighting monsters in front of me. She's a very strong, independent, smart lead female character. So if you were to look at the other book, you'd notice that can't say the name, but we'll say, I guess I created another character that's Tara's cousin in the book, Paranormal, in the new comic that's on Paranormal.com. So let's go with Paranormal. If you can follow along at home. Kara lost her mother recently. She can see and speak to ghosts. She wonders to her dad aloud, will I be able to speak to her one day? Her dad nicknamed her Kiddo, which isn't a big thing, but just another thing. He raises her, single, family. They live above a psychic shop. Well, actually, in my script, Tara Normal lives above her dad's magic shop. The big plot, because it's for young readers, it's a smaller book. It's not aimed at graphic novel. My graphic novel is for teen and up, but also little kids could have read it. They aimed their books at really, really young. I don't think ghost stories appeal to really young children. So they took away a group that might, be interested in this. So you don't have the falling in love so much. That'll have to come in the second book. They go to the boardwalk because it takes place in New Jersey, not Maryland. They go to the boardwalk and there's a haunted house that turns out to be really haunted. Now she's a coward, so she can't save the day right away, but she has to save it later. They escape on a bicycle. Tara actually rides out of that place on his motorcycle, her boyfriend's. There's also scenes where they go to get ice cream. I mean, big ice cream scenes in both books. Mine was because I love Friendlies, so Tara loves, that kind of, it's a fake Friendlies. But, I mean, both books have those scenes in them. And you have a series of similarities that are so close, I can't compete fairly with a major, major publisher doing that to me. Doing this such a similar, just under the sun, just such a similar after I've been working on it since it's been published online in 2009. And I think there's a real misunderstanding that people don't realize in this business, in the world of literary. Webcomics are real, and they're really published. It's real. I don't know if they think it's some science project where that's not actually published work, but it is, and it's on record. It's on record more than anywhere else you would find it. If I wrote this book and I just stuffed it on a shelf and nobody saw it, it'd be different. But I have an audience following it. There's such a ridiculous closeness. If I'm going to pitch that, there's no way one would be confused.
Just a quick question. When it comes to this script you submitted years ago, when it was completely typed out, when you had everything ready, you submitted it to a publisher. Whatever the publisher is, I don't care. They sat on this for over 3 or 4 years, hoping...
Months.
I'm sorry, months. I apologize.
Yeah, it's from submitted in 2010, late 2010, and then early 2011 they pass on it. Okay. So it takes weeks, months.
So they sat on it, basically expecting you to probably forget about the fact that, I submitted a script, they passed on it, and it's just like it seems. I don't know. I don't know what the thing was. I'm sure it takes a long time to review something. Yeah. Second time it was submitted, never heard back, and that's from a direct referral from a best-selling author. Never heard back. The question in my mind is, if you had a similar project, you would say, I have a similar project. You would hope. But apparently that's not the case.
You can't submit Batman to someplace, and they're not going to go that there's a Batman. It's a simple case of, why is it I take the simple I take the simple act of caring to Google a name. I mean, I did extensive searching, especially with Google. It's easy to do, to look for similar names. I didn't want it to be a similar name. It's something I purposely didn't want. It's just weird to pitch something if it has a similar name as something else. And I grew up with books like Ralph Snart, weird names. I love originality like that, you know? And I wanted it to be. I like originality. I'm sorry, I like it. I know it's not popular now. I know the big thing is to put out, I don't know, Alice in Wonderland movies, stuff like that, you know, just do it. And I like the movies. I'm just saying I wanted to do an original property. And now I know why some people don't. And now I know why you wouldn't. I mean, I'm not turned on by this whole thing. I'm very hurt by all of this. Because it's so close. You changed one letter. You changed one letter. And you made it. It's Terranormal as a hashtag. Basically, because they brought the space together. There is no difference, though. There is no difference. When you're saying the name, there's no... Oh, you know what people would say to me when I first invented it? And I would see it, and I had my friend Dirk Manning. He's a great writer. He wrote a like a dream sequence for one of the webcomic stories, and I would see readers of his or fans of his say, "What a catchy name! I wish I thought of that." Everybody would say, "What a catchy name!" And you know what? The vultures come out and they pick, and then it's not so catchy. If you let them, it's not so catchy. Yeah, it is a great name. And if you see it, I'm sorry, but you have to pay the original creator if you want to use it. I liken to what happened to the Battleship movie that came out, right? They had the Battleship movie, and already in Netflix or in Redbox, you're having a Battleship movie called American Battleship. It's the exact same cover, exact same stuff like that. And you have to, okay, at least Battleship had a chance to become big. This is this is a large, hurtful part of it. Terranormal hasn't had the chance to break into the larger base of readership. It wasn't given that. It's just beginning. I haven't had that chance to do that. And to me, there's already a knockoff property. It's like Hansel and Gretel. There's another Hansel and Gretel. But Hansel and Gretel wasn't invented by those people. You know? So it's like a little personal hell that you have to deal in. You can't say, what I've learned is creators have to be very careful. You can't say certain things. You can't, because there's threats. You know, I feel very confident in saying one letter off is not enough for you to make a new property. And I don't know if that's going to have to cause some new change in laws. And I don't know, but that doesn't make sense to me business-wise. You can't make beatbox shoes. You can't make Ricky Mouse. You're telling me they wouldn't come down on those people? I mean...
This seems like it's more of a David versus Goliath in every sense of the imagination.
Yeah, and it's not fun being David. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want this to happen to me. I never envisioned it. I was always scared about, similar things being out there. I've had things where I've asked for pictures not to be shown, and they're my copyright, so you have to ask for that taken down. I've had little things like that. I don't use DeviantArt much because of that. I hate it. I don't hate the site. I hate that people will just take. You can watermark the crap out of things, and that's fine. But it just got to the point where I don't like appropriation, like misappropriation. And now this is the worst case scenario. This is way worse. I mean, and I've seen when you start to deal with infringement of both copyright and trademark, you start to notice how common it is. If anybody wants to Google Spielberg and copyright infringement, your heart will sink and you will see the truth out there. That one of my favorite directors of all time has been in courtrooms and dressed down creators, and then the case is found in the creators' favor. I mean, that's what you're looking forward to. And I can see why some people don't want to fight. But I mean, you learn that Lego was stolen, a stolen idea. I mean, Legos were stolen from another creator. I don't want to be the guy that made Legos and had it taken away. I don't want a sad story to be I die young and then my wife gets a deal, like a cheapy deal from the new publisher for the name. Because that's what happened to the Lego creator. I don't want to be Larry Potter. Everybody's heard of Larry Potter, I'm sure. It's a very similar book that came out. It's no Harry Potter, but Larry came out first, and I'm not saying anything about that case. I just don't want to be the creator of Larry Potter, which is what has happened. You know, I don't want to be that person. And they forced me. They're trying to make me into that person. The verbiage of threats or something like that, that's trying to make me the creator of, oh no, he could have never done that. We're rich. He could have never done that, right? What's the excuse? The only excuse is we're rich. We're powerful. This little guy could have never created such a thing. You do this at heart to tell a story. You do this as an artist so people will see your work and like it. Not for me to become famous. I want her to be known. I want Tara to be out there. And I just want I like the simple appreciation of, look, he created a world. He created a concept. But and the concept's just taken and the name is misappropriated. What is there? What is there when you're a little guy? You know, and I don't know. It seems they're up in the rights though. If you look at books, man, they've got don't you copyright this book. If you find this book out without a cover, oh, the hammer, the fist will all come down. They believe in that right? But you'll just take a concept.
I find it interesting, especially when it comes to comics and appropriation. It's something I've been looking into for a long time. I see this in the pop art era of the 60s, of the 70s. We see that recently with various creators that sell noted comic works for hundreds of thousands of dollars as artwork. We see this constantly in yours is just one of many cases in that regard, and it's sickening. It truly is sickening in the sense that the time, the effort, the hard work, the creativity, the knowledge of the research, the effort that one puts into their heart and soul into a piece of work can just simply be rug out from under the feet.
One day you have it, one day you don't.
Exactly.
But I still have it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to let it go. Nobody wants me to. We raised $500, I'd say, in 5 hours just from Facebook and a small Twitter campaign, just from a small word of mouth. If it gets taken further and the threats go further with me, I guarantee I can make a big noisy situation out of this, which would be unfortunate, but maybe necessary so people know not to do this. And if I have to be that one, I do. People are looking at the comic now. People don't. It's hard. It's hard being an independent person and getting eyes on your stuff. People have always looked at my stuff and gone, it's different. But I mean, it's appealing to the eye. And when people find it, they feel very strong about it. It's just about getting all these eyes on it. I'm not in a ring of a group of professionals where you have immediate ins and contacts. I haven't been that lucky. You know, I have very fortunate for what I have, and it's a slow and steady race. And for you to take my feet out from under me and try to take what I've been working on, that's not fair. And I know the world's not fair, but I'm not gonna. I can't sit here and let that happen, and nobody wants me to.
We know. Those that have followed your work, those that know what you have done, what you have gone through, we know all the time, all the sacrifice that you've done when it comes to this content and this character. And, I'm glad that you're on the show. I'm glad that you're finally getting a voice for this here. I'm glad you're using the social media to really push what is true and just, what should be done and what shouldn't. And honestly, I'm truly disheartened the fact that I know this is a world now where anything and everything can be slightly changed. and it's not right.
No, I copyrighted everything. There's copyright on the site from the beginning. Let me tell you this: there's a trademark mark, the TM, which everybody. That's without, from my knowledge, it's without registering it. But everybody does it. Scott Pilgrim has the TM and stuff like that. I mean, you look at anything, it's trademark. That's trademark. That's as good as you need. That says don't. That says don't. That was on the proposal in big letters. There was a big TM, and somebody didn't care. Somebody didn't care. It's arrogance. It's a giant arrogance for you to threaten me and tell me there's no similarities there. You're that original. But then you look at the author of the book. People might ask me, well, what about the author? You're talking about the company. The author that they have listed on the book is made up. It's not a real person. I'm real. I'm a real person. The author that they have can never do signings. A little kid could say, oh, I love that book. Who's the writer? There isn't. There isn't a real person. But their character, that's a writer, the character they made up had real paranormal experiences, which caused her to write that book, right? With one letter off. My pitch had a bio that said, I am friends with the ghost hunting community. I've had real paranormal experiences. Now I write paranormal. Incense not only the character's identity, but me. I mean, I'm watching my book be on a shelf next to Harry Potter. I don't get to be there. I mean, I feel there were editorial decisions made like, we don't like the aliens, take them out. We don't like the in-jokes to Lost Boys or something like that. We don't like that humor in-jokes, take that out. We don't like that she's 16 and, well, she's got big boobs, take that out. You know, I mean, just stuff like that. Tara's always had big boobs. And let me tell you something, most of the female readership loves that. I'm sorry, but I blame my sisters for how full-figured she is. It's weird, but it's true. You know, and so just little funny stuff like that. Take that out. She uses real technology. We have no idea what that is. No idea. Take that out. We can't even. We've done no real research. Take that out. Who's to say that stuff doesn't end up in there later as the character gets older? Who's to say down the line she won't fight aliens? She won't get stronger, a la Buffy. You know? Who's to say? Nobody can. And that's really why you have to stand up for yourself. Because what is something, if you take Spider-Man and you've got the origin, can't anybody make the other? I mean, really, isn't that your starting point? Isn't that a huge chunk of creation? That initial idea in the beginnings and the motivation for the character. So you got why they do it. Everything else is a sequel. Everything else is a sequel. And if my story is the basis and the groundwork for something else, that's not fair. That's not fair. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I see that Calvin and Hobbes, Calvin peeing on things sticker, and I don't think of copyright infringement immediately. It's the only thing I think of. I don't think of, ha ha ha, that's funny, Ford trucks suck, he's peeing on them. I think of, what is that character from? That's Calvin. Calvin never did that in the story. He was never, that's more, Bart Simpson might. He might pee on things or something like that, but it was never pursued, and I just see that kind of thing. And at least Watterson got money, and he's renowned, and his books are in stores and stuff. Maybe that's why he doesn't care. Or maybe he doesn't know. I don't know. But I care because I've never had. I'm not saying it's all monetary. I'm saying it's an achievement. It's just my goals aren't met yet, and you're making these things and putting them around. I'm not a graffiti artist where I put these things out, and it's that kind of art. It's a story I want to tell. And I know it's happened. I've seen other things in the webcomics community alone with, I'm trying to think of the creator's name, but he didn't want to pursue it, with Ted.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Looks Turnbull.
Yeah. I got to be honest, man. I don't know if he made the phone call, but it is a huge, huge influence on me on making my phone calls and contacting legal help. And because I think, how much did Ted make? Over 300 million domestic. You tell that number to any lawyer, you'll get a quicker quicker response and a more excited response than you would from me of saying a children's series that it's a children's series aimed at whatever and it's not Harry Potter. See, that's another thing you have to deal with in a legal conversation of the lawyers that tell you you're not crazy, because a lot of copyright stories are just, they're admittedly not, it's not true, it's not this, and you get told you have a real case, but it's not a movie yet. But you can't wait for it to be a movie. You can't wait for something to become a TV show. You can't, because it's a runaway train at that point. But yeah, it's a huge thing. Seeing that TED, I think, my opinion, if you would call a lawyer, they would listen. But I understand why he's not. It's scary. I've gotten threats. I've gotten threats going through this. Right away, I've gotten threats, and that's scary. That's your future. But I've been told by friends and colleagues and that everybody's going to help me, because I am a small dog against a giant machine. They're huge. The lawyers on staff. And, I mean, that's why I can't mention anything. These are all generalities. You can't, this is all in fact, so nothing can be used against me. I've said no names. I've said nothing. But that's the reason why. I can't even speak freely. But it's all fact what's happened. There's not me going, if I would pursue Paranorman, that's where you would go. Wow, I don't really know Howie. It's a boy. It's more like Sixth Sense. I mean, Tim Burton has more of a case on Paranorman than I do. But you can't copyright style. You can't copyright look. You can't. And it turns out, I don't know how many people don't know this, but you can't copyright an idea. Maybe people don't know that. Your idea is not copyrighted. It's the words and stuff like that. But the thing I'm dealing with is also trademark infringement. And Paranormal is a rich trademark of mine. And you have to protect yourself if you have something like that. It's a brand to me. It's a series of books. I did end up putting out my book. I did finish my novel. I put it out in spite of what was done to me, because that's what you have to do. I can't just throw this all away. Why should I rebrand? Why should I change my name? No. I mean, no. So in response to the case, I just think if I know how much it would cost. It's frightening, because you get, these prices are just not what an artist can afford. I've had people say, well, what about the Comic Book Defense League? I think it's the right name, right?
Comic Book Legal Defense Fund.
Legal Defense, yeah. They don't handle stuff like this right away. I think down the line, they're not there. Like, people were like, well, you should talk to them. It's mostly First Amendment issues. The first ones I called was them. They couldn't help me. You're going through a lot of people saying they can't help you, and it's not malicious on their part. It's not what they're set up for. Now, I think they should. I would hope maybe if we could bring enough attention, they'll start. They'll start, because it's a big thing. If, in case I'm married, so my wife, and our income, it's too much for those artist support lawyers too. They have very low amounts. If I was freelancing on my own and single, I would meet their, maybe I can meet their criteria. I'm not getting a divorce just to sue somebody that stole this is what it comes to when you talk. And they tell you, well, we combine by both incomes and stuff like that. And because everybody wants maybe you can find a lawyer that'll work on the back end. And it doesn't work that way unless you're going to say this is a movie and it's coming out like that. These are like real things that might help people for what they will encounter. And I think it should change. But there are good people out there that will help. And I've been fortunate that, I've spoken to a lot that will help me. So, we're moving forward with that. And I'll take the next step that I can and update everybody, because the funds that were raised helped me incredibly. I wouldn't be moving. It's honestly, if you like those David versus Goliath stories, I'm involved in one. So it is, if you're interested in helping stuff like that, it's a chance to witness it as it goes on.
And how can they help out though?
Well, if you join the Paranormal Activity, it's on Facebook. That's Tara's Facebook page. You can follow me on Twitter at HCNOEL, HCNoel. You can also email me, hcnoel@gmail.com. You can ask. I don't ask unless I need. I only raised that money when I was ready and I found out the exact funds. And as soon as I raise the money, the PayPal button's taken off. I'm not running a false charity. We're running a movement here. And if you want to help with the movement of fighting it, please do. And, check out the comics too. This is a whole new story I don't want to go down as, I don't want it to be my legacy that I didn't fight, that they got away with it. It's not right. It's not right to any of us. And if you make an example out of this sort of thing, then maybe that's a lesson learned. I mean, maybe they just should call off submissions. Even with a literary agent, maybe you just can't handle that. Because that's what it's come to. I mean, this is reason like comic places, they don't do submissions because of that. But whose fault is that really? Where's that fault lie? That you pass on something and have extremely close property immediately after. You have to eliminate the outrageous in life. You have to eliminate that when trying to solve a problem, and you have to go with the simplest answer of how did two things so similar happen. The original creator doesn't get a dime, which is probably all you'd have to pay, right? I would think it would not be that much per book. A license my brand, which is early and just starting. License a brand just for the title and my permission to make a series of books that I wouldn't even, it would just be my name on it, which has happened over and over again. It's a tie-in book. How much would that cost down the line? But what is cheaper? Taking. Taking's cheaper. And not giving me any credit. Because who's the author they have to deal with? Who wants to put in info? Nobody. It's like I really admire The Walking Dead and how Kirkman has a huge hand in that series, and that, and that's why I like independent creation. He has a huge hand. People may say this and may say that. He's involved. Now they The Nightmare they could just do a zombie story without him. I mean, look what happened to Romero. He created that. He created the entire thing. It's Night of the Living Dead. It is Night of the Living Dead, but there wasn't proper trademark or copyright put on the piece. Now it's in the free domain. But he's successful and he gets other things out of it, and I can't deal with that. We've already seen Superman and stuff like that happen to those people. I don't want to deal with that. And it's just, this isn't the fun part of doing, comics. This is a real part. It's like, I think it's everybody's worst nightmare if they're a creator. But
I don't know. I mean, unless you get it on the web yourself, unless you take the proper precautions to truly do everything like you have.
Yeah.
Even that seems like it's not enough to.
They didn't care. I mean, I had a copyrighted, self-published copyrighted. It's Paranormal's been copyrighted the books, and it's copyrighted online, which is real. This isn't. It's real. Yeah. When you copyright, you send a copy to yourself. It's real. As soon as you put the thing, it's real. You did that. But as far as trademark, which is the major, major thing, I am a registered trademark of Paranormal. It should matter to people. It should matter to people that make decisions, and somehow somebody thought they could just change one consonant, one single consonant, and think they can get away with it. And it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. So you have to stop yourself from ranting. And what I was with lawyer conversation with a friend who's an author, just take your emotion out of it, which you have to. Because all artists are like very emotional, and usually. I know I am. I know I'm very emotional. I'm like, how could they do that to me? And you get angry. So that you're talking to me months after dealing with this. You know, because I've had people, I put my fist through the wall and stuff like that. And I mean, you're seeing me months after dealing with this and having to talk to lawyers over and over again. I tell you what's not fun is talking to lawyers over and over and over again. It's a highlight when you find a really nice one that understands art and stuff like that. Because what I make isn't stick figures or something like that, or you know, it's not just. I'm trying to make professional grade work as a professional artist, and I'm putting out there as a real thing. So I feel that they look down upon comics. They didn't want a comic series. They didn't want comic books. Because we know Scott Pilgrim wasn't great to them. I mean, that wasn't a big deal to have a graphic novel series, I guess, to them. I thought it's awesome. That's what I wanted. I wanted more kids reading it. I wanted a strong female hero. And what was in return to me was something written for little kids who don't like to be scared a lot. You get into that around Goosebump's age. This is much littler. Can't really do a lot with the fear there. And also the main hero is cowardly. I mean, she's feigning or some crap. It's not. It's the manipulation, and you see the changes that were made because they try. And I'll be straight up honest, they try to change enough to get away with it. And they only had to change so much, but they didn't change enough. They didn't change enough. Their title of their book, see, my character is Paranormal. Their title of their book, their character's main name is not Paranormal. It's not. It's like Kara Thompson or Kara Smith. That title doesn't respond to that book. Where'd you get that title from? My character's name is Tara Normal. Her father's Abe Normal. Her mother's Sarah Normal. You know? So are you just going to keep going down the line on whatever I do and take it that way? I don't know. I'm not saying I'm the first to do a play on words by any means of this, but I am the first with the paranormal, with this character, with this setup, with this name. And if you're saying, oh, well, there aren't so many new ideas on the sun, why would you want to do what I'm doing? So I don't understand it. I don't understand that way of thinking, so I can't think like that. Their thought is the main, why you would want to do what somebody else is doing is because the work's already done for you. And you can hire I don't know what you call it, a writer for hire. Phantom writer. Yeah. And they can go out, do whatever you say, and I don't know, but somebody got paid to write the stories with my concept. And it's not cool for anybody. We all have bills to pay and stuff like that. I just don't know. I don't know why. I don't know that I dealt with Hollywood and they've never done this to me. I've had spec script written. I've had a proposal made. And it was all just understanding. They could have made it without me. They could have done the same thing. They never did. And they're much bigger. They never did. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. It's just, it's incredible. I hope it doesn't happen to anybody else. I really don't, but it happens a lot. You find out you're not the only one.
Is there anything else that you haven't brought up? Or I know there's only so much you can talk about here, and I'm glad that you're really letting it out.
I'm letting out what I can. Was very guarded,
which is fine. I
can't say much. I had I want to interview, and I'm like, there's not much I can say. What I said on the website is what I can say. I can make little hints. Guarantee if you do a Google search, you can find what you want to find. That's not up to me, and that's all up in the open. What they don't understand with their threats is you can't threaten me. How can they threaten me? What do you have to threaten me? What are you going to take? You took it. What are you going to take now? I mean, it's a situation of don't tell your parents what happened, or I'll kill them, or something like that. That's the equation of their threats. They're trying to threaten me into not taking action and doing what's right. And the people that do that, the type of people that would do that, are the lowest class of monsters that our society creates. And I'm not equating what has happened to me to those situations, but it's the only thing I can think of when somebody does something wrong to you and says, don't you tell anybody. And that's what I was threatened with. Don't you tell anybody what happened to you. Don't. And they legally threatened me like that. But being the person I am, I can't take that. I can't abide by that. I can't. I just think I don't like being pushed around. I don't like being threatened, especially when it's something like this. And I haven't met a person yet that goes, oh, I don't really know. I don't really, they're threatening me over something so out in the open. They stole my lawnmower and told me not to tell anybody about it because it's their lawnmower. I mean, it's just insane. It's really insane. It's insane. They don't have a Harry Potter because they junked it up. They junked up what was original. They junked up what was mine. They released it without me. So my thinking is I'm not really threatened because you ruined it. You ruined what could have been as far as that. It does make you, I mean, it's definitely stopped me. I mean, thinking about submitting to places. Really? I mean, in this age when you have Kindle, and as far as that, why do you have to? I mean, it's tough. They're not perfect on getting comic books out there, But I know that Comixology is coming closer, and we're going to let some independent authors. I mean, my dream has always been, if you look at the Xbox Live, you can go in the arcade, and there was a documentary. I forget what it was called. I think it was Indie Gamer or Indie Games. These guys are just two guys, and they make a game. Well, Xbox gives them the place to show it off, and they're like, yeah, we'll put an ad up for you. They get their display date. They get their chance. And they sold millions. Now, I know comics can't do that. We're a weird subgenre. I just want the chance. I want the chance for everybody. You can't get that through Diamond right now. I mean, you can't. There's not a place for display, but I think one day Comixology can be, and I look forward to that. I think the Kindle can be. But it's like, yeah, I'm going to get my stuff it's the Paranormal book is on Lulu. The one that I made from the script. It's on Lulu right now because honestly, and nobody can say no to this, I much prefer going the self-published route on this one. As a kind of flag I'm waving, and also just because, well, I'm not taking the chance anymore with the story. Somebody's got to read it. It's a very good story. It's just Paranormal on Lulu. You can find it. I'm working on the Kindle edition. Because I think it shouldn't go to waste, the real one. I think the real one shouldn't go to waste. I think it's a great story that needs to be told. And you don't need these guys anymore with Kindle. People sell a lot of books on there. And then sometimes they sign deals with publishers afterwards, and I don't get that. You don't need them. That's what people are going to learn. You don't need them. I think we all grew up with this aura of mystery that you need it. You don't. Yeah, that's what I'm learning. It's hard to learn that. You're raised a certain way when you're into comics or you're into books, and you're like, well, Stephen King had a publisher. He worked really hard to get a publisher, Like, you tell me Stephen King wouldn't sell millions if he just put out a Kindle right now on his own. I mean, Louis C.K. sells his stuff on its own, just through his site. And stuff like that. They're good. They do that. I like the independence of it. And I think these people, they need to learn. They can't do this anymore. I think now's the time to teach them that lesson. They don't have the pull they once did. I mean, you look at the sales on some of these things. You look at the sales on the thievery. I'm not impressed. I'm actually disappointed. And that's something to say. I'm disappointed. I know I could have done more. Yeah. I know I could have done a lot more. I'm just saying. it's tragic. But I mean, I don't understand when you walk down, when you go to a convention, and if there aren't a lot of people. Indie's a subculture within mainstream Comic Cons, and you see, it's not like indie gaming where that's lauded, and I want more of that. I want more of that. I wish there was. But you go down, and the fact that I'm at New York Comic Con and I hear somebody tells me, well, he just said this. Oh, he really ripped that title off. And I go back again to it. I can't tell you what that hurts, because I've been working on this since 2006. Who ripped who off? I really ripped that title off? From what? It's because you don't know me. Is it because a major studio put out a movie that's similar to mine, even though a script was floating around before that? So these are the things that, you just have to deal with, but I'm not going to deal with somebody saying I ripped off a book that is taking chunks from me. That's why you have to fight. Because, I mean, with the Ted thing, you're going to hear the Ted similarities, forever? Yeah. How heartbreaking is that? I think he deserves something. I mean, and I don't want to harp on this, but if you look at Stewie from Family Guy, and you look at Jimmy Corrigan, and his football-shaped heads, and he's a genius with a ray gun, and you start to see similarities. I'm not the only one, but I mean, nobody says anything, right? I don't know. But then again, I guess if you look at Family Guy and you look at The Simpsons, it's pretty interesting too, isn't it? I mean, The Simpsons have even said that. I just don't think. I think I understand the decision. I really, it's because of that. I think you have to stand up and say stuff. I don't know. Is it like terrorism where you see something, you have to say something?
Yeah.
So they have signs at the subway. I mean, I guess you got to say something.
Do like an underground campaign or something like, this book is terrorism on America.
I won't go that far, but terrorism on me. It's private terrorism. It's terrorism, right? Yeah. It's a tagline.
Terrorism is terrorism no matter where you are. So there you go. Is there anything else that you haven't mentioned on the show here that you want to let the listeners and the watchers and the fans know about?
Just a thank you for everybody that's supported or written or shared a tweet. I mean, I saw people I wasn't in contact with, but comics I liked, they shared the story. It's a very real thing. This isn't the kind of attention I wanted. I didn't want anything, and I'm standing up simply because I have to fight, because we have to. As creators, we can't let something like this happen. I know I'm going to speak right to somebody that is a writer or artist. I know it's your worst nightmare. It's mine, and I'm living through it right now. There are very large corporations that don't care about you or what you've done, and maybe you'll get lucky and they'll let you in on it. But a lot of the times you'll be unlucky. And even if you go through the right channels, the proper way of sending their work to you to be approved, there was always supposed to be an understanding that this is copyrighted. There was always supposed to be the understanding that this is their property. They don't care now, apparently. They don't care. That understood thing is out the window. And one day I'll be able to share all the similarities. Like, you have to make lists and this stuff. There's even a cover for the UK edition. It looks same layout, same pose, same color palette, stuff like this. It's insane. They have the way to reach England with books, put them on shelves. Wow, lucky you that you don't have my name on it. You don't have that stuff. So it's just about believing. I appreciate the help. If you can, stop at Terranormal.com. You can see all the comics. Spread the word of the comic. Maybe we'll get it big enough. Maybe we'll get this big this year. If you share the comic, if you like what I do, share it. Tell people about it. Retweet it. Get the word out there. Get the name out there more. And we'll let people hear about this. Start an uprising. It'll be heard more than their title. And keep an eye on it, because they can sue me for saying it's not stolen instead of just ignoring, or they can sue me. They can take me to court to force me to admit it's not what it is. It puts me in a very bad situation because I don't lie. I'm very real, and I'm stating what it is. It's one letter off. So please help me. I'm going to need your help. Go to taranormal.com. That's T, like Tom, ARA, normal.com. Been around, published there, 2009. Been professionally working on it since 2007. If you like the paranormal, if you like girls who fight ghosts, stuff like Buffy, but, stuff, if you like that, or Scooby-Doo or X-Files, you'll like this. And you can notice the stories. There's a big back catalog of the fun stories. Here's the thing. They affected me because the story began fun. A lot of jokes, and a lot of people loved them. I was having a great time. And I was like, oh, I got this rejection. Let me start working on the prose novel. I'll take a break. I took a break from the webcomic to write the novel. Still working. And then I saw this happen to me. And how can I go back to the fun after this? So the new story of Tara is darker, but there's still jokes in there. But it's a horror story. And in this story, there's a paranormal group who doesn't like Tara because she's done what they couldn't do. So they get her cousin Kara to be on their show because it's just one letter off and they want to play off that name. I mean, and it's affected me. Think of what I've done because of what they did. Think of the dealing with it. But the one thing is, I didn't give up. I didn't quit drawing. I didn't quit creating. And I think that's the important thing. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to let her go anywhere. I just have this thing where I wanted to do something special, original. I wanted people to like it, and I want people to see it. So help spread the word. If you can, when it's time to raise more donations. Hopefully we don't have to. I hope I don't have to. Because I don't ask. We have shirts and stuff in my store. I don't ask for the donation. I haven't had to yet, luckily, but I had to with the legal thing. So I'll put that up. It'll always be there. You can ask me anything you want. But just, I think, spreading the word of the comic, telling people about it, telling people what happened, going forums, saying I'm dealing with this. If somebody's going through the same thing, they can talk to me. I can give advice. I'm not an expert yet, but it seems like they're forcing me to become one. But just you don't have to take this. I know it's scary. It doesn't hurt to call a lawyer or just one of those trademark places and go, hey, what do you think there's anything here? They will let you know. There's a lot of them that will try to charge you to let you know. But I mean, generally, I've had a lot of conversations just off billing, off the billing. And if it wasn't for anybody, I just want to say thank you, because I wouldn't be able to do it without help, without people saying to keep going, because it takes, I don't know, I'm pretty strong-willed, but it's really hard. So thank you. And just for the record, these were all generalities. I agree, right? I did it very general.
Yeah,
like you don't know the names of anybody. You could Google. You could probably put Paranormal in, go one by one on the T and see what you hit. But let me tell you something. You'll be able to see what I'm talking about, and that's not me. That's not me doing it. That's the real shame. I might get threatened, but the real thing is the facts out there. You don't have to be Columbo to figure this one out. But yeah, just for the record, we should legally say I didn't say anything. Huh.
No, at any point in time during this interview, no knowledge or information was passed as per the legal binding contracts as to Howie Noel and or his lawyer.
Yeah, and as per, if you try to say there is, then you will have a problem. You have to counter the threat that if you say there is, that's on you. That's what you wanted to hear, isn't it? It's like Twilight Zone speak you have to with. It's very unfortunate. I like being very real. So if somebody I don't like or somebody knocks me off or they're being a jerk, I'll be like, you're being a jerk. I don't like you. But with this, you have to be like, I didn't say that. I didn't. And I didn't. We talked very generalities. And
At no point in time did you infer any sort of knowledge whatsoever as per your situations.
No, no inferring. If they're inferring, they're inferring. That's an infer. It's like a scientific thing. They might infer, but that's not me. I didn't do it.
Jerry, did you infer what I thought you inferred? No, I don't know.
I didn't draw any similarities to any specific publisher at any time. No. I didn't name names. I didn't do anything. I told of a situation I was going through in very generalized terms, non-legal terms.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
So that everyone can understand.
In case they're having a hard time figuring this out.
Yeah.
You got nothing. You got nothing. I could just...
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
That's good.
It's all good. All right.
I'd take anxiety medicine now.
Exactly. Yeah. Shot of what now? Anyhow, when it comes to, of course, Terranormal is, of course, terranormal.com. You have seen Howie on the show before. He's been a very wonderful guest as well in many other times. And of course, we'd like to have him back when he's in a happier place, when things have gone through the everything like that. Either way, though, check out his work. We have a great supporting fan base here with TGT. We have a great fan base with Terranormal. We have wonderful creators that are following this issue, and I'm hoping in the future to get other lawyers as well as ethics people from various universities on the show in order to see if they have any more knowledge in regards to this situation and what can truly be done other than pulling said hair out. So.
Yeah, and we should find, if you can get, maybe somebody worked at a publisher where they know this happened. And they know of why it happens. Like I'm always caring about why. I care too much about why. You have to stop doing that at a certain point. Why do people do this? Why are people so mean? Why are my upstairs neighbors so lousy? You have to start going, that's not legally binding, by the way. I didn't say right here. But you have to go, I would like to find out if there's somebody anonymous wants to show up or admit it. Because if I look, there's illustrations on the book covers of the books that I feel, that are one letter off from mine. And I'm just like, another artist is involved in that. I so wanted to contact the artist and be like, do you know what you're doing? But I didn't. Just a hired hand. But that's how sensitive. I would just like to know from somebody in publishing, why? Why not just make your own crap? Because maybe it's an intern that found this in the pile and said, I want to raise. Or, it might be somebody low in the ladder going, hey, this is great. Look what I've come up with. My pile's in a submission. But I don't really care how they do it. I would just know why. Maybe we can get a person with the face all shadowy, computer box, and they could be like, we still because we're horrible.
Or I'll just do the video on my side and they could just have their image,
Yeah. And it'd just be like, we steal because we're terrible people. We're vampires. That's why. Stupid, Howie.
Oh, all right. Well, thanks again, Howie, for coming on the show. True pleasure. And we'll get this posted up. We'll get this on the YouTubes and all that other stuff, and on the Facebook and all that jazz too. Because appropriation doesn't mean you own the original content. It just means that you know how to change shit. We'll leave it at that. But we're actually going to have another author on, which, Howie, I know you're familiar with him, actually. We're going to have Dirk Manning on next week.
I plugged him, too.
Which is awesome. I love it. Great.
I plugged him in the show. I didn't say I plugged him in real life. Another generality.
Oh, Jesus.
You can ask him to plug them in real life.
Oh, no. I'll say that for the after show.
Yeah, I did draw. I drew for his Shadowline comic. And he let me put my name on it. So he didn't
which he mentioned as well on Facebook, too.
He didn't steal my stuff. How come Dirk doesn't?
Because Dirk's an upstanding guy.
Worships Bigelow. He wasn't upstanding when I plugged him last time, though. In the show, not in the...
Yes. Well, he's been on the show many times, and actually he's talking about his book, Right or Wrong, actually a collection of his columns. So I'm looking forward to chatting with him about that as well, too.
I'm quoted in that book about copyright infringement. About copyright infringement. It's a very good segment. Because I wanted that in there.
Which I think we're gonna talk about actually as well, because that'll be interesting to hear what he has to say about that too. But no, thanks everyone for watching the show. Thanks everyone for listening. As always, you can find this on iTunes. You can download this off the YouTube channel, TGT Media. Search for that, as well as on iTunes. You can, of course, email me, Kurt@tgtmedia.com. I'm on the Twitters as well, at Kurt Sasso. And, of course, on Facebook, too, for TGT Webcomics. But thanks everyone for watching. Have a great rest of your weekend. And tune in next time for Dirk Manning with Right or Wrong.